Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in this video I am going to talk about how to print out patterns using nested for loop, right? Nested for loop. So I already prepared some kind of patterns here. So this one, the first one is this, and the second one is this gonna be like this, and the third one is gonna be like this, fourth one is gonna be like this, fifth one it's gonna be getting harder, and the last one is gonna be this triangle, right? Okay, so let's get started, and I'm gonna show you guys how to actually print this kind of pattern on the console. Actually, nobody on your job, right? Nobody is going to ask you to print any kind of pattern on the screen, but this is actually fun to be able to do it with the for loops, right? Okay, so how do we do this? So first of all, we are going to be able to do this kind of patterns with the nested for loop, right? Nested for loop. So we need to create a nested loop. So okay, integer I equals, so when you actually, I'm gonna give you guys a tip, right? So I see my pattern, right? So my pattern is telling me in the first row there is gonna be one column, second row there is gonna be two column, third row there is gonna be three, and go on that way, right? So I'm gonna use my mind, and my outer loop is gonna take care of the row, right? Take care of the row. There is gonna be five row. So since there is gonna be one in my first row, right, there's going to be one column, I want to start with one, right? And then because you can do it opposite way, because as long as there's going to be five row, then you're fine, right? Even if you start five goes to one, or one to goes up to five, right? Doesn't matter. So okay, I less than or equal five, and then I plus plus, right? This is my outer loop, and the inner loop is going to take care of the row, right? This is what we know already. Int k equals, so here, what do we need to do? So outer loop is gonna take care of five row, right? And the inner loop is gonna give us the value, right? So inner loop is gonna create the column. In first row, there is supposed to be one column. So to be able to do that, I am gonna make it equal I, right? Make it equal I. Why? Because the first iteration, the outer loop is one. Okay, we get in for loop, right? We were outside of the inner loop, and then we got in the inner loop, right? K is gonna be equal one in the first iteration. K is gonna be equal one, and k bigger than equal zero, right? I mean one, right? There is gonna be one iteration inside of the inner loop, right? One iteration, and then k minus minus, right? K minus minus, decreasing. So what's gonna happen in the first iteration? Let me give you an explanation. So what are we actually, what are we going to print here? We are going to print I. I'm going to explain it too. We are going to print in the same line, and then we are going to print each row another line. So when we look at this logic here, this is outer loop, which is going to take care of our rows, right? There is going to be five row, and there is going to be five iteration here, and there is going to be five row, right? So inner loop is going to take care of our column. In the first iteration, right? In the first iteration, I equals 1, and the k is going to be equal 1, right? And is the k bigger than or equal 1? Yes. So there is going to be one iteration, and we are going to print out I. What is I? I1, right? What is I? I1. And then it is going to get out of the inner loop, right? Get out of the inner loop, and then it's gonna get in the another line, right? Another line, and then second iteration, when the I equals 2, k is gonna be equal to, k bigger than equal 1, yes, and there is gonna be two iteration here, right? There is gonna be two iterations. So twice it's gonna print this twice. What is twice? What is I2, 1 and 2. There is gonna be 2I on the second row, right? There is gonna be on the second row, right? So this is actually, you just need to understand what are you doing, and you need to have your pattern in front of your eyes, and think about the logic that what can print this out, right? What can print this out? It is actually, if you think about it, you can easily print this out, right? Okay, let's get into another example here. So what is it telling me? I mean, um, I'm gonna add 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So int I equals again, so there's going to be 5 row, right? There's going to be 5 row, but I see it doesn't matter actually in this case. I less than or equal 5. Just go for it, right? Just go for it and see and try to print it out and see what is happening on the screen, and then you can take some action based on that, right? That is how you're gonna do, right? Try and fail, right? So and I plus plus, and then our inner loop is gonna, like I said, is gonna take care of our columns, and k is gonna be equal. So k, right? What is the k is gonna be equal in first iteration? It doesn't matter. Like you cannot make it equal I this time because I equals 1. When the k equals 1, that means there is gonna be only one iteration for the column. But I don't see that on my first row. My first row is telling me in the first row there is gonna be a 5 column, right? There's gonna be a 5 column. So I less than or equal 5 and this and then plus plus, right? And then k plus plus because it is all of them is decreasing. I'm increasing here, and I'm gonna print I, and then this is print. All right, I'm gonna, so let's see if something is wrong, and then we will see, right? So there is something wrong. Yeah. So what is wrong? Of course we cannot do it. Decrease. We need to decrease it, right? Again, say, oh, okay, k, I put, so again, I think this is gonna be it, right? This is gonna be it. So I was like, why I was decreasing it, because we are starting, I mean, we're starting 1, but if you start 5, then you can decrease it, right? If you start from 5, then bigger than equals 1, then you should supposed to decrease it, yeah, right? Decrease it, and then you will have the same result on the screen, right? You will have the same result on the screen. So that's the second example, and let's get into the third example. It is fun actually. I like it, right? This is actually improve your skills, right? It is going to improve your skills, and also it is going to improve your um, like thinking, right? It is going to improve how you think, how you actually approach the patterns. Okay, um, for int I equals, int I is gonna be equal, I'm gonna actually go make it down, take it this way. So I'm looking at my pattern, and there is, I only see one column on the first row. Then I'm gonna start with 1, I less than or equal 5, but in general I'm gonna have, in total I'm gonna have 5 row. So that's why I go with 5 and then I plus plus, right? Because your starting point is 1 and your ending point is 5. That means like you are increasing here. So here, then here int k equals, so what I see is here, I think I need to make it equal I, because when I equals 1, k equals 1, because on the first row I see one column, right? I see one asterisk on the first column. So that means it should be equal. I'm trying, right? I'm trying. It should be equal I, and then k bigger than equal 1, and then k minus minus, right? And here I'm gonna print out asterisk this time. I'm gonna print out asterisk this time. Let's see if it's gonna work, right? It might work or it might not work, and based on that action, I mean based on that result, I'm gonna take my action. So that's what I do here, and also let's go over it, right? So what I did the same thing here, right? I did the same thing, but this time I print out the asterisk, right? This time I print out the asterisk. Maybe you wanna do this, you might wanna put some space here, then you will have this kind of pattern. I mean, it's up to you, however you want to actually to manage it, right? To manage it, put in a position. So Let me explain it. I mean, let's actually print it this way. Let's actually print it this way. So in this case, right, in this case, so I see my row, right, I see my row. There is only one asterisk on my first column, right? There is going to be 5 row, so you need to make sure how many row there is going to be, and you need to put your condition that way. 5. Okay, 1 to 5. All right, outer loop is done. And the inner loop, now we have to deal with the inner loop. So how can I configure inner loop to print this something like this out? That's how you get a thing, right? And when you see it actually, the first row, there is going to be one asterisk. There is going to be one asterisk. Yeah, that means it's actually supposed to start with 1 to 5, right? 1 to 5. But why would I do that? I just put it here, I equals I, because I equals 1 first iteration 1, I is going to be 2 in the second iteration, and there is going to be 2, right? 2 asterisks on the console. There is going to be on the second row, right? Second row, there is going to be on the second row, the column, there is going to be 2 column. And what are those 2 column? Asterisks, right? And it goes that way up. So we will do the opposite one right now. We will do the opposite one. So how do we do the opposite one? So int I equals, so I see 5, right? I see 5. I'm gonna start 5. I see 5 row and also 5 column in the first row. 5 column in the first row. Then I mean, maybe I can make it k and I equals on the again in this situation too. This is why I'm giving it 5, and I less than, I decrease, right? I decrease in this case because we are starting from 5. In k equals, again I'm doing it I, right? I, and it is 5, and k equals bigger than or equal 1, and then k minus minus. Let's see if it is minus minus or not. So I'm gonna print out again asterisk, and then I'm gonna print each row in another line. That's what it does. Um, okay, so let's see if it's gonna work or no, and then we will talk about it. Okay, this way it works, right? This way it works. It might not work because I put decreasing on the both situation. Actually, it should work because this is gonna be 5, and it is going to start from 5 and goes down to 1, and it is goes down to 1, and there is going to be a 5 row, and we see that there is let me actually you see, let me actually show you this, right? There is already the 5 row, 1 2 3 4 5, and also there is in the first row, right, there is 5 asterisks. In the second row there is 4 asterisks. On the third row there is 3 asterisks, and on the fourth row there is 2, and on the fifth row there is 1, only 1 asterisk, right? Only 1 asterisk. Okay, so one more, right? One more. I mean, actually, there is 2 more, right? There is 2 more. So this one, right? So when you look at this pattern, actually, it looks complicated, right? Wow, what's gonna happen here? It looks complicated, but I don't think it is complicated because all you have to do is think this way. If I split this, right? If I split this, so I need to print something like this, and I need to print something like this, right? So which means actually like, let's handle it, man. Nobody can scare us. So int I equals, right? No pattern scare us. So I see that we are starting with 1. Okay, I'm gonna start with 1. On the first row there is 1 column. Okay, and then it goes until less than or equals 6. I'm gonna print first one first, and then it's gonna be this inner loop, and k equals, so it is again, I'm gonna make it equal I, and then k bigger than equal, right, bigger than equal 1, and then k minus minus. So in this case, what are we going to print? I see that if I print I1, yes, in this case, you might want to sometimes print the k out, right? Print the k out, but always, I mean, in my examples, like as you see, we are printing I out, but I will show you guys that if you print the I mean k out, then what's gonna happen? So do I take care of this? Did I take care of the first pattern? Let me see if I took care of it or not. As you see, guys, yes, right? Yes, we got the same pattern till here, till this part, everything is okay. So we need another one, guys. Another one to print out the rest. In I equals, so my second pattern is about this. So my second pattern is about this, right? It is starting with 5. There is going to be 5, right? Okay, I'm going to start with 5 because I see that there is 5 column on first row. I bigger than or equal 1, I less than, minus minus, right? Decreasing. And in k equals, so in this case, again in k I, it is going to be equal I because I want 5 column in the first row, and it's going to be 5 in the first iteration. And then k bigger than or equal 1, and then k minus minus, right? K minus minus. So what's going to happen here? Again, we are printing out I. Again, we are printing out I, and then let's print this out now. Let's see if we got it. As you guys see, we see the same pattern on our console, right? On our console. So I'm gonna show you guys that what if I wanna print asterisk here? What if I wanna print asterisk? What's gonna happen? And here again, asterisk. It's gonna look cool, right? These patterns, right? These patterns are cool. So what if I wanna print the k this time? What's gonna happen? I mean, we will see the same pattern, but the different numbers, right? In this case, see, and this time it is doing different, right? It is doing different thing because you're printing out k now. And for each line, k has a value like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, or 1, 2, 1, and 3, 2, 1, right? As you see here, this is actually magic, right? This is actually magic. I like it. I really like it, this one. So, okay, the most important one is coming. I like to print out this one because this is actually little bit not that complicated, but you need to think about it, right? That's what I'm saying. I mean, you need to think about like what you're doing and what you're trying to print out here, and then you can take some action. So here int I equals, the first of all, there is going to be a 5, right? There is going to be, so I mean there is going to be 1, right? 1. So I see that there is going to be 1 star on my first row. Okay, but there's going to be 5, right? So I less than or equal 5, and then I plus plus. So this is my outer loop for this situation, but we need to actually be supposed to have 3, right? 2 inner loop, 1 outer loop, 2 inner loop, because one of them is gonna handle the columns and one of them is gonna supposed to handle the spaces, because you see that there is spaces here. Who's going to handle the spaces? Like, how can you, right? You cannot do it that way. So let's handle the space first, because in the first iteration, I see that there is going to be 1 asterisk on my first column, and also there is going to be a space like this, right? You to be able to see the same thing here. In k equals, so when I say 5, like there is going to be a 5 space, and then k bigger than I, right? Take k bigger than I, and then less. So what's going to happen here? So the first iteration, what's happening in the first iteration, how many space we need? We need 5 space here, right? We need 5 spaces to come here. Okay, once we have the 5 space, so what is I1, right? I1 in the first iteration. Okay, so there is gonna be space in here, and I'm gonna put this here, same line, And what's gonna happen? So we need another for loop in this case, int star, right? Now this time I'm gonna actually print a star. So star is gonna be equal. So in the first iteration, how many star we need to print? We need to print only one. That means like it's supposed to equal I, right? I. Okay, and then star bigger than equal 1, and then star um, minus minus, right? Star minus minus. So here I'm gonna print the star here and give it one space. Give it one space because every time, and then print all the rows in another line. So let's see if it is gonna work. Let's see if it is gonna work. If it is gonna work, then we don't need to fix anything. But if it's not going to work, that means we should fix something, right? So as you guys see, it is working, right? It is working right now. So what if I say 0 here? What if I say 0? It is gonna get. See, it is not taking it, right? It is not taking the first iteration, right? Bigger than equal, right? So how did this happen here? So how did this happen? What we did is here. What we did is here. First of all, we created the outer loop, right? We have to have outer loop for the rows, right? For the rows. But maybe I can keep this for, right? If I keep that for, then it's not gonna work. Um, I mean that's fine. It looks. I think it's proper, right? It's. I think it looks proper. I think it looks proper. So what's gonna happening? The outer loop is right. The outer loop is. I mean, the taking care of the row, and in the first row we need how many space we need? We need 5 space, right? In the first row we need 5 space, and this one is printing 5 times. After 5 times, how many times we are iterating for the column? I equals 1. There is one iteration here, and it is printing one star right in here. And then in the second iteration, all right, how many space we need? 4 space, right? How many space we need? 4 space. 4 space is gonna be here, and then we are having 2 iteration inside of here because I is equal to this time, and there is gonna be 2 iteration. So we are going to print 2 star, but 2 star, 1 star space, and the 1 star space, another space, right? And in this way, it is going and printing our star on the screen, right? On the screen. So these are the patterns that we have printed today. One is a star, one of them is star, and the one of them is this one. This one was a little bit hard, and one of them is triangles and the number patterns, right? So I don't think it is that hard that as you imagine, right? As you imagine, I don't think that it is hard. You just need to understand. You just need to put your pattern here and then think about it. You already know the way that how you can do it with the nested loop. You can do this. So if you as long as you know that I can do it with the nested loop. Just put the loop in front of your eyes, just put the loop here, just put the pattern here, and then think about it. Find a way that how you can print it out. All right, this video is all about the patterns, and I see you guys in the next video. Please subscribe, like, and make a comment. Thanks.